full of a good story. There's no doubt about it. Everybody has their pain, their trauma, things that they've gone through in life, how they were raised, how they see the world. They don't want their stories out there. They're embarrassed and they're ashamed of their past, whatever their demons might be. You know, the reality is we're not our past, we're not our mistakes. And so I buy the hides. They usually come, they're about the size of this table, and then I'll cut them up into strips like this. As you can see, this one here has got a little bit of a bow in it, so I'll have to put it through the stripper again so I can make it straight. Lose a little on the edge, no big deal. Again, this one here, you're going to get little pieces like this in the hide that when it goes through the rollers, it's going to make these sort of indentations. The reality is most of that would flatten out if you tooled it. In this case, I might just use it for bracelets, just cut it up into bracelets and then just remove that. But as you can see, the rest of this leather is all perfect. I go to Handy myself in Mississauga and I buy the hide. And I make bracelets like this that I sell on the street when we can. So, and again, there's some belts here. Each section here took about 20 hours for each section to draw it on, to carve it in, to tool it all out, to background it, to dyeing it. It took about 20 hours for each section. Again, in process. These three are done because I have three specific buckles that I'm going to use to make these three belts. But these ones here, again, it's preliminary at this point as to what I'm going to do with them. They may end up belts, they may end up bracelets, and in some cases, if they're long enough, both. This area here is, you can see there's a lot of crap on the table. This is where I apply the finishes. These are finished strips. They've got their finished coat on them. I haven't decided what they're going to be, whether they're going to be belts or whether they're going to be bracelets. More than likely both. Okay. So I have a whole bunch of vintage buckles here. These are all brand new vintage. So they were like probably 20 to 30 years old. And another hobby crafter, I guess she had no more use for them anymore, so she was selling them on Marketplace, so I bought them so that I could make basically brand new vintage belts. So here, it's nothing special here, just a few tools, just some ponchos that I use. And, a lot of stuff in here, so I have different types of hardware. We've got butterflies, and these are like, I can't really see too well through the plastic. Mixed stars. And the thing about all of these is that all screw back. Every one of these is a screw back. They're not rivets. So, and then what I'll do when I put them on is I'll put a little dab of this leather glue in the hole. And this is just a guide that I use for making the backs of the belts so that it's always perfectly lined up, and then the front of them. I usually use another tool for snapping the ends. There's a bunch of different shapes we have. This right here. For this hole right here, you want it to be perfect and clean, right? So you have to use a tool like this. It's called an oblong punch. Center hole punches. I prefer those over anything else. I don't have any machinery yet. I haven't gotten that far, but definitely someday it would be helpful to have a 1-ton press. This is a burnishing tool here. You bevel your edge. like so. And then we have, I'll just give you an example of water. We have a little gum that we put on here. It's over there somewhere. And then see how it's getting all smooth and don't want to do your edge. And now it's perfectly burnished. And they'll stay like that forever. These strips are finished now. They've got their finish on them and everything. They're burnished, beveled, and finished. So now it's either put them on a buckle and make a belt, or cut them up into pieces and make bracelets. I learned how to control the dye on the leather. If you just try to apply dye to leather, it'll just shoot off everywhere. You would never be able to achieve this unless you knew how to do it. And I kind of, came up by trial and error. The truth be told, I taught myself to do it in prison. I was an addict for 35 years, and I went to prison, and I've been clean for 17, and this is what helped get me clean when I was in prison. The ability to be able to make things like this by hand literally in my cell. So here in Canada, when you go to prison, you don't lose your rights. In the States, when you go to prison, they take your rights. So here in Canada, if you know your rights and you are, intelligent enough to figure out that going to school or doing a hobby or finding God are important things to do when you're in there, because otherwise you'll sit around and watch TV and you'll come out actually less of a human being than when you went in. If there's no purpose for your incarceration, that you're not doing something productive, they have programs and stuff in there, and they usually only run them towards the end of a person's sentence, which doesn't help them in the beginning. Unfortunately, they don't offer support when you first go in, because you're going to be with them for so long. They don't care. They can just lock you in a room and just let you. And as, for a human being, that's horrible. It's crazy to think that they lock people away 23 hours a day for years and years and years on end. But as I said, for me, I found purpose in doing the leather work. It was something that I took a little bit of time to save the money to start doing it. This is what came out of it. So now I can make belts for people here in the community. At the end of the day, obviously it costs a lot of money to do. You're not going to make a lot of money until you get to the right spot. But the hours that are involved in doing this, because I don't make this one belt at a time. Oh God, I started doing this over 10 years ago.
10 years ago, okay.
At least.
And it shows, because these are like really beautiful. The reason why I asked you for the red one is because I got back home after ordering like the brown one, but I couldn't stop thinking about the red one.
Nice.
So
that's the way it works.
Yeah.
I mean, you see something like this and you realize, you know what? I'm going to have that for life.
Yeah.
I use extra thick leather for the bracelet and the belts so that they maintain their integrity.
Right.
Basically for the rest of your life.